have watched people measure their financial progress by the size of their raise for most of my life, and I understand why they do it. A raise feels like validation. It feels like movement. It feels like proof that you are advancing. Your income increases, your responsibilities expand, and your confidence rises with it. But over long stretches of time, I noticed something that unsettled me. Many of the people who received steady raises year after year were not becoming structurally stronger, they were becoming more dependent on the continuation of that income. There is a difference between growth and exposure, and most people do not recognize when one quietly becomes the other. When salary rises, lifestyle often follows. Housing upgrades, larger financial commitments, higher recurring expenses, and expectations that match the new income level. None of this is irresponsible on its own. It is predictable. But predictable does not mean protective. If your stability depends entirely on the uninterrupted flow of income, then your security is conditional. Income is tied to employment, to industry demand, to economic cycles, to health, to policy decisions, and to forces that rarely ask for permission before changing. Ownership operates differently. When structured carefully, productive assets can function beyond your direct labor. They can generate value even when your personal output slows. Over decades, that distinction compounds quietly. I have seen professionals double their salaries and still feel financial pressure because their obligations expanded just as quickly. They believed higher income reduced risk, but in practice, it increased sensitivity to disruption. Inflation makes this more visible. Inflation rarely arrives dramatically in developed economies. It works gradually, adjusting purchasing power in small increments. If your financial life relies entirely on raises to offset inflation, you remain in a continuous race. Some years you gain ground. Other years you surrender it. But you are always dependent on forward motion. Assets, particularly those tied to productive activity, often adjust with inflation differently than wages do. That structural difference does not matter in a single year. It matters across 20. I have watched two individuals begin with similar incomes and similar opportunities. One focused primarily on career progression and lifestyle expansion. The other focused on acquiring assets alongside career progression. 2 decades later, their financial resilience looked nothing alike. The difference was not intelligence, and it was not effort. It was structure. Debt adds another layer to this equation. As income increases, borrowing capacity increases. Larger mortgages, larger investments, larger leverage. Leverage can be powerful when attached to durable assets, but when it rests solely on income continuation, it can quietly amplify vulnerability. In strong economic periods, leverage feels efficient. In uncertain periods, it feels restrictive. The individuals who navigated cycles most effectively were not necessarily the highest earners. They were measured. They built margin. Margin is not exciting, and it does not attract attention, but it absorbs shocks that income alone cannot. A raise is not the problem. The illusion attached to it is. When people assume that higher income has solved their long-term positioning, they often stop thinking structurally. They equate momentum with protection. But momentum can reverse. Structure endures longer, work matters, skill matters, discipline matters, but without ownership and margin, income remains reactive to conditions. Over long horizons, reactive positioning compounds differently than strategic positioning. I have lived through expansions that felt permanent and downturns that felt sudden. Through all of them, One pattern remained consistent. Income reflects the present. Ownership prepares for the future. The raise is not protection. It is an opportunity. What you attach to it determines whether it increases resilience or increases exposure. Over enough time, the difference becomes visible, and time, more than anything else, reveals the structure beneath our decisions.